Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're diving deep into one of the most epic stories ever told, the Great Flood. But what if I told you the storm wasn't just 40 days, but 5 whole months? We're going to explore what it was really like inside the Ark and look at the scriptural case for a cataclysm that literally reshaped the entire planet.
This quote really just sets the stage, doesn't it? It frames the flood not as some big weather event, but as this incredibly profound, world-altering moment. The source even calls it a 0 hour of execution for an entire civilization.
So, as the story kicks off, we get this picture of a sharp, stark division. On one side of the Ark store, life is just carrying on like nothing's wrong. And on the other, a completely terrifying new reality has just begun for the 8 people chosen to survive. Outside, the world is, well, it's completely oblivious. The source describes people just going about their daily lives, business, parties, relationships, with absolutely no idea that the final moments of their world are ticking away. But then you think about what it was like for Noah and his family, and that moment was one of absolute finality. Can you imagine? As that huge door closes, they are suddenly cut off, totally isolated. Yeah, they were safe, but they were also imprisoned. Their very last glimpse of the world they knew was just gone. Forever. And this, for me, is where the emotional weight of this story just hits you like a ton of bricks. It wasn't just some simple escape. The source really highlights the immense personal cost. Imagine being saved, but having to leave your own children, your daughters, behind. Their hearts must have been absolutely breaking for all the family and friends who were now doomed. All right, so now the deluge itself begins, and let me tell you, this was way more than just a rainstorm. The scriptures describe a cataclysm of just unimaginable violence, coming from both above and below. The text points to this fascinating phrase, the fountains of the great deep were broken up. Now, this implies it wasn't just rain pouring down. It suggests these massive tidal waves, water literally bursting out from the earth itself. It's like a multi-front assault on the land. And this brings us to a really key detail the source material clears up, a huge misunderstanding about the timeline. See, most of us think of the flood as lasting for 40 days and 40 nights, but it turns out that's not even close to the full picture. So get this, according to the text, those first 40 days, that was just the beginning. That's just how long it took for the water to rise high enough to finally lift that massive ark off the ground and set it afloat. But the full fury of the storm, all the rain, the churning seas, everything, it continued for a staggering 150 days. That is 5 straight months of a relentless, world-ending deluge before things even started to calm down. So you've got to wonder, what was it even like inside that thing? To be tossed around in that vessel for 5 months, driven by this violent, non-stop storm? Well, the source material gives us a pretty vivid picture. To help us understand the experience, the source draws a parallel to another crazy sea voyage in the scriptures. It talks about mountain waves, waves so huge they would literally bury the vessel completely, and tempests driven by the fierceness of the wind. Yeah, this was no gentle cruise. That just perfectly illustrates the intensity of this journey. The ark is described as being tight like unto a dish. And the source suggests that for most of those 5 months, the windows were probably sealed shut just to keep the whole vessel from being swamped by those constant, overwhelming waves. So as this voyage just drags on, month after month, the world that Noah and his family knew, it just vanished. Every landmark, every hill, every single mountain just disappeared beneath the rising waters. And here's the crucial point, the sheer scale of what's being described. The text doesn't just say the plains were flooded. It specifically says that all the high hills and eventually even the mountains were covered. There was absolutely nothing left. So all of this, of course, leads to the big question, right? The one the source text tackles directly. Was this a local flood, maybe confined to one region, or did it really truly cover the entire globe? Okay, so the source presents 4 main scriptural arguments for a global flood. First, the stated goal was to destroy all flesh, something a local event just couldn't do. Second, the incredible length of the journey itself. Third, other scriptures that indicate the flood was a worldwide event. And fourth, the powerful symbolism of what the flood represents. And that final point, the idea of the flood as a symbolic baptism, that is a key theological argument in the text. It frames the flood as this massive cleansing ritual for the entire planet, a complete immersion needed to wash away all the wickedness and prepare the earth for a totally new beginning. And that kind of leaves us with a final provocative question to chew on. If the flood wasn't just an act of destruction, but a symbolic rebirth for the entire world, what does that mean for us? The story suddenly becomes less about an ending and a whole lot more about a cycle of cleansing and renewal for the planet itself.